Hello, friends. It's John Klein, third of episode 193 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, your premier podcast regarding Kitty Pride, Lockheed, and Magic. And today we're going to review Magic Volume 2, Issue 9, and the rest of the books of last week. So, spoilers for all these. And let's get into it. So, Magic 9, the penultimate issue of the series before Age of Revelations. We catch up with Danny and Ilyana as they're fighting off the last of um, the supernatural organization Danny's been working with. And they find defeat the goons. Danny and Ilyana have a great little bet about if Magic can defeat all the dragon in the air before Danny can defeat the goons on the street. And Magic has a little issue in the beginning because she has to like keep stepping disc around the sky to get any leverage or opportunities against the dragon. And then by the time she beats it, it turns out Danny had cleared the foes way early. And then they go to the base with Luminol, who's in Cal's body still, and they confront the leader, and turns out she's a mutant, but doesn't identify with mutant politics. She's clearly more into the magic ways, and so she was okay to follow Krakoa, and turns out Magic had unbound Luminol, so he was able to get taken advantage on the leader, just enough for them all to escape to regroup. And so, yeah, we're gonna head into the final issue with some resolution. Do we like Cal enough that we hope that he gets his body back? I mean, I would rather, because Lumino does seem like a threat who might make things harder for everyone in the future. And hopefully, once Age of Revelation's over, we get um Magic's ongoing back. There's some rumors out there about how we're gonna get a new sorcerer or sorceress supreme. So it'd be nice to see uh if Magic can get that title, especially if she already has an established ongoing. What better way to relaunch it than with, Magic Sorcerer Supreme? And she has experience doing it in alternate timelines, so I'll be here for it. And speaking of Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange 450 came out, big milestone issue. We do get an Ashley Allen who writes Magic short segment here with Magic. And it clearly takes place around Uncanny X-Men Volume 3, the Bendis Bacalo era, where she has absorbed Limbo and has gone to Doctor Strange for tutoring. And so they're talking about showing each other, what your essence, your magical essence is. And Magic's does repeats the spell Strange did, and instead of like a nice light blue, it's like a very pitch black, dark goo. And he's like, well, that's just your impression of what your magic is. Like once you stop fighting it, it'll reflect more positive. Then the petri dish it was in explodes, taking over part of the town city of New York. And Strange casts a spell, or at least mimics a spell, so then Magic will have to do the official casting because it's her limbo magic that's causing the issue. And it gets put away, and Magic um states that Doctor Strange is her favorite teacher. So, take that, Magneto. And, continues to take his mentorship. So not a bad short. And then there were some other stories, but none of them jumped out at me. So, and I'm not really the biggest Doctor Strange guy, so I'm just like, all right. Oh yeah, Avengers Volume 9, Issue 30. The Avengers are gonna investigate a dimension, and so they need someone to watch Earth and protect their space city. And who are they going to call but the X-Men? and it's Jed McKay writing the Avengers, so of course they picked Jed McKay's X-Men, which makes sense as earlier in the run of Avengers, we had that nice issue where they played baseball together. And so, and it'd be nice if somehow for mutant relations, if Captain Marvel told everyone, like, hey, everyone, the world's gonna be in the safe hands of the X-Men. We trust them. You should trust them. But that is the one issue with the X-Men, the Marvel Universe, is like, why would people not be okay with the X-Men? But, for the racism allegory, it makes sense of like racism doesn't make any sense. So why would you be hateful to the mutants? But it is a world that hates and fears them. So that's unfortunate. But we get Magic in there. The color artists and artists are an incredible team. Like it just has this great aesthetic to it that I really enjoyed flipping around every page. We see Cyclops is guiding the X-Men as he's explaining to Oya where everyone is, and he has sent Magic and Juggernaut to Peru to fight a mudslide, which I can only imagine Juggernaut's creating a dam of sorts to stop a mudslide, and Magic's just encouraging him. Or maybe she's opening up stepping disc and then redirecting the mud while he's doing that. And that way there's at least both of them are um, working on the solution. She's just not cheering him on. Oh, speaking of Magic so much, and it was nice that we got her in 3 issues this month or this week. Uh, Marvel Rivals season 4 is about to start, and they've updated their logos of which platforms they're on. And Marvel Rivals is coming to PS4, which I haven't turned my PS4 on in like it feels like weeks. So I'm excited to play as Magic. I heard someone comment online about how Doctor Strange is being taken out of the game because his spells are tough even on PS5. So as long as I can play as Magic, I don't care. Yeah, like sure. And if it's even to the point where PS4 people can only play in PS4 lobbies, well then that's fine with me as well. So, and I was never going to play as Doctor Strange. So it's been a super bummer for me that I've missed so much Magic content in that game, but I'll try to make up for it. Probably won't throw too much money at it, but if they ever add Kitty Pryde to the game, and I guess if she's applicable on the PS4, like that's where all my money's gonna go. But I'm gonna, just play as Magic, expect a bunch of Magic videos. I probably will be no good at it, but it'll be fun to play. And that was, oh yeah, and so the Avengers are going to Battle World, but not the Doctor Doom Battle World of Hickman's Secret Wars. Though it looks like all the Marvel zombies we see are actually the ones from the original Secret Wars, which I kept scanning every single panel to be like, is Lockheed in this? But I didn't see him. But I had to add this issue to my wish list anyway. Um, so one day we'll get it. I know we're hoping to go to Great Falls in October, so be nice if it's on the shelves there, but we'll figure it out. And then Uncanny X-Men Volume 620 came out. Um, Very confusing opening with Monet being confronted by Warden Ellis, and how for whatever reason Monet's gaining weight whereas everyone else is losing weight, which I don't know if that's like a penance reference, like setting up so that like she can, I don't know, transform into penance and then draw her way out. But then we find out Monet can just rip off the collar whenever she wants. So why is she even in this prison? Is she just there to make sure her X Factor pal Siren's doing okay? But then Siren was at the Hellfire Gala or Vigil, excuse me, and she was just walking around. She could have easily not have gone back to the prison. So I don't know. And apparently, prisoner X is getting restless in there. So we are reminded that we have that um storyline coming up. And Gail Simone did go on socials and stating that we're nearing the end of the three arc prison, the Gray Malkin prison. So we'll see where this was going and what comes of it and the whys of it. Oh, and then Ember's in it twice. Rogue excuses Jitter so she can have a chat with her and Nightcrawler, which I don't know why Nightcrawler to be the witness to the conversation, but Rogue earlier in the series was revealed that she went to a speech dialect coach to try to work on her southern accent. And because maybe I could see newscasters of certain networks making fun of Rogue's speech, or maybe podcasters. And I don't love that for Rogue, but she offers up her specialist to Jitter, who doesn't have to go, but she wants to. That resource is there for her, so that's nice. I always thought Jitter's stuttering was part of her mutant power to like focus or have any ability for 1 minute. So hence when she's having that 1 minute, her speech pattern stabilizes. And so is her speech intimate not related to her power? Like, is one okay to do without the other? But it's also, I guess, a way to show character growth too. And then, like 10 years from now, we're like, remember when Jitter used to stutter? But yeah, but Kurt witnesses this conversation, and Ember's there as well. And then the Outliers go to school, and Ember goes to school or go to the bus stop with Becca, as does Waffles, the Sentinel-shaped robot. No, the dog-shaped Sentinel. But Death Dream tells him to head home, and then they realize Ransom didn't attend or didn't go to the bus. And so we catch up to him. And he's talking to Gambit and Logan, and how his half brother is inside some cult, and they're gonna bust them out. And so Logan and Ransom go. We see how his powers work a little, and it turns out the cult is Ransom's father, or being led by Ransom's father. So that's gonna be interesting. I pre-ordered issue 21 because it had a cool comic book convention cover, and one of the people on the cover looked like Kitty Pryde with like a Lockheed on her shoulder. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like in person. Um, so yeah, pretty solid issue. And then Def Dream before they left off, like was like, "Hey, you call me your little brother, and this involves your half brother. I feel like I should be on the team." And they politely declined that invitation, and or I don't know, self-invitation, and he Deathstream has to stay behind, so I don't know if he's gonna be a Calvary with whenever Gambit shows back up, but we just have to see how it goes. Also, that 21 cover could literally just be a fun cover concept, like comic covers lie all the time. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Imperial War Exiles one came out, which is the X-Men tie-in. If you're looking for any X-Men connection to Imperial War, which I was, would it be better for me if it wasn't Xavier led? Yeah, it would be. But we get Xandra hanging out with her Aunt Deathbird and reuniting with her mother Lilandra. Actually, Lilandra was dead when Xandra hatched from her egg. So it's just them meeting for the first time. And I could have gone an entire issue with just the sisters and Xander just hanging out and Xavier just saying something, every 4 pages. And Xander does point out, like, hey, I've been running a galaxy while you were trying to make a small mutant nation work. And you barely give me any attention. So I was like, all right. And that's true. Apparently, Lilandra's brother had a illegitimate son who claims that he should be leading the Shi'ar throne. And so they chase Xander away to a isolated planet. and the issue ends stating we're going to get an Exiles ongoing with Xandra, Xavier, Lilandra. Hopefully, Deathbird survives her fight. I'm sure she does. And then we get Corsair, which is fun as Lilandra and Xavier have Starjammer experience, but also it's like Scott's two father figures. Well, one father figure and actual father. So that should be interesting to see. Danger's showing up for some reason. Uh, Kid Gladiator from Wolverine the X-Men, so that should be okay. And Rocket Raccoon, because I guess there's no Starjammers comic at the moment, so might as well get a Guardians fan base to check this out. Be nice if Rocket will ever so often be like, hey, I remember when Kitty Pryde was a Guardian, and I'm familiar with you guys a little bit, but I doubt they're going to make any references to that. But if they want me buying it regularly, that will be what I would do. S. Jeff and other Marvel Tales reprinted several different Infinity comics in physical format, which I'm hoping people keep buying these so one day we get lovable Lockheed. And I promise to Marvel I will buy the variant covers for that. And but no Lockheed in any of these stories unless I missed it. But there were some the Marvel Tales had Sabretooth stories and Rogue and Gambit stories, so there's some mutant representation. Laura Kinney Wolverine 10 was the final issue before Age of Revelations turns this into Laura Kinney Sabretooth. Gabby gets rescued. Jonathan, the most real of the Wolverines, puts on a cute little Wolverine outfit and a blue mask, and then rescues Gabby, which I thought was very sweet. Gabby just brings out the very best of people, especially Xanthos, the son of Dracula. And Laura herself gets all of her best qualities brought out. And Clea sort of gives a hint to Laura, like Gabby's healing factor might be overextended low, so you might want to keep your eye on her. So I don't know if that's setting up an Age of Revelations thing or setting up a post Revelations plot. Um, oh, Age of Revelations, Book of Revelations series has a Kitty Pryde cover that I almost missed. I mean, I get the idea why they don't reveal all the variant covers, but I almost missed my DCBS cutoff date for issue one's variant cover, but it has Kitty Pryde with like a slightly older Kitty Pryde, like literally like maybe 2 weeks older, like phasing out of her body. So she's clearly the ghost of the spirit of Philadelphia. So I feel good about ordering the first two issues. Though DCBS was like, you can't remove any titles from your order. So I was like, well, dang, I'm gonna get two copies of Book of Revelations now. But one of them is a cover I want. So maybe I give the other one to Walker D or I just try to sell it. But I probably just give it to him because I don't know. He's been willing to accept comic book covers. He's getting into Seth Loeb's and Tim Sale's X or Spider-Man Blue. And so I love that for him. I'm like, well, if you like those creative teams, I have Batman, Long Halloween, and Dark Victory, and Superman for All Seasons, and I'm even seeing Daredevil Yellow right now, so that's fun. Probably should get Wolverine Gambit Victims one day, as you know, it's not done in the prestige format they're known for, but still, it's a winning creative team, and they're earlier work, so it'd be fun to see, what they were bringing as such young talents. Ultimate X-Men 19 very much felt like a concluding chapter of this as Ultimate N is coming. That's going to be my first experience of a blind bag in forever. And which seems weird that like DC's doing blind bags, and I think IDW's doing blind bags now, or maybe it was Dynamic Comics, but like there was a conference call with comic book heads where they were just like, hey, we're gonna do blind bags again. Which I'm hoping if I order any of these through DCBS, that I'm at least able to tell through the bag, like, oh, I got this cover because I can see this top layer of blue. So I can update my DCBS order. But in the world of digital comics, like, yeah, you can keep a bag, bag sealed. So that'd be. at least something to be noteworthy. But and that's if Ultimate Sprite or Magic shows up in Ultimate End, which I imagine they will be. So I'll probably get those issues. I've been bad about getting the event comics, and if I had a store in town, I'll probably be a lot more easier to just get all the comics I want. But since I got to order them online, I want to stay within like a reasonable budget. I should, um, like I don't want to just buy everything on a whelm that there's a Kitty Pryde or Magic appearance, regular or ultimate versions. But this one ends, or it felt like the conclusion of the Shadow King plot that's been going on for the last all the 19 issues. The last thing we see is to be continued. So I'm like, all right. Because I don't know if Ultimate End is stopping series is. I know Wolverine's continuing during the event. So yeah, it'd just be interesting to see where it's going. But it's Peach Momoko just being the best. So very nice. And then lastly, we have Wolverine Volume 813, where he becomes the Claw Father. He's very emotional about Mastermind messing with his mind, making him think he was having a fun road trip with his mother. And then Kurt shows up and he's like, "Hey, you're drinking a lot, buddy. You want to talk?" And he's like, "I do sort of want to talk." And then he gets a phone call where we meet up with the gal from Giant Size House of M, where he met this nice lady with like black hair and a white streak in her hair. Always a good look. And she needs him to become her Don so that they can confront another gangster and make a peace deal. And which is weird because I thought all the other backups in the giant size specials were leading to like big events in 2026, and I was like, oh, this was just to set up one plot of the next issue of Wolverine. Like that's an interesting choice. But it's nice to see one of those backup features be featured in like a comic that actually came out sooner than later. And I don't know, I like the characters. It's solo Wolverine, so that's your bag. Then you like gangsters, then no, this is the issue for you. And if they follow it on post Age of Revelations, then yeah, that'd be interesting. It's a storyline you can take out of the box whenever you want. So once established, it's a tool. So yeah. So those were the comics of last week. So this week coming up, we have Exceptional X-Men 13, where Kitty Pryde going to the past. So that should be fun. Ultimate Wolverine 9 with Ultimate Sprite, which on the preview pages we see her, so great. Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion 4 has Magic on the cover. Not in the preview pages, but she's on the cover, so it's all I need to buy a comic. So thank you, marketing team. One War Under Doom 7, which is there a word for penultimate before penultimate? The second to last issue of the event, which seems to be going on forever. And it must have been planned to be a bi-monthly um event. But which I don't know if it was planned that way because the artist needs that much time, or is it just, yeah, we want this to appear longer, so we're doing it every other month. Because it's like bi-monthly, you mean it comes out every 2 months, or do you mean it comes out twice in 1 month? Which I guess would be bi-weekly then? Yeah. You think as a 90s Spider-Man fan, I would know like my bi-monthlies from bi-weeklies as they would do that all the time. Remember when Superman had the triangle era? That was easier to follow at least, or at least not financially. Um, and then we have Age of Apocalypse Alpha, which was supposed to come out last week, but according to fandom comes out this Wednesday, so sure. Then Wolverine 10, and then Wolverines and Deadpool is 3, which should be the final issue of that mini. And yeah, and then that'll be where are we, mid-September? Yeah, so the series are tying up before Age of Revelations rocks in October. So yeah, it should be a pretty good week next week. We're at least guaranteed Exceptional X-Men 13, Ultimate Wolverine 3, and Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion 4. So if we get a fourth comic, no retro review, but we'll just have to see. Oh, speaking of retro reviews, so the Marvel Zombies cartoon comes out late September, which for a reason I figured it was coming out in October. So I have October planned for a Marvel Zombie event. So get excited about that. But then I was like, oh shoot, do I start a week earlier? But I think I'm just gonna wait for October for spooky October. So we're just gonna tie it in after the fact. And then by the time they air one episode, I can review it for the pod. So pretty great, I think. And so you can follow me on the socials at S&FwM on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter for the podcast. And then me personally is Jacko SIII. And thank you all so much for listening and watching. And I'll talk at you next time. All right, everyone. Bye.